Hello friends, it's Becky back with Bountifully Blessed. I have a lot of different prep work that I need to get done. I've got quite a few things coming in from the garden, and I also have some miscellaneous things that want to go bad, and I wanted to share with you how I usually use these items. Specifically today, I am going to be focusing on some potatoes that I have. Now, these are gold dust. They are yellow golden potatoes. They are a type of Idaho potato, but they are a little bit more on the pricey side. And so I have to avoid certain kinds of potatoes, unfortunately. I just have some medical stuff, and it makes it very difficult for me when it comes down to certain kinds of foods, and potatoes one of them. So I really want to make sure that I utilize these potatoes as much as possible, because obviously if I'm going to spend more money on them, I want to make sure that I can get as much use out of them. So they are starting to have the little eyes coming out of them. And so I want to make sure that I can prep these. So what I'm actually going to do with these, since these are all basically at a stage where I wouldn't really want to necessarily eat them, whether it's making a baked potato or making some mashed potatoes, whatever it is. So what I'm going to do is give these a good peeling, and then we are going to make some hash browns. They're really, really easy to make and a lot of fun. I don't exactly know why a lot of things are very fun, but I think they are. They're pretty cool. So we are going to get these peeled, and I've got my trash can right here, so we can just peel these, and then we can get them in the freezer. That's usually how I prepare most of them, is to go in the freezer, although I am low on my food saver bags. So I'm just going to be putting them in some sandwich bags today. So we are going to get these all peeled and ready to prep. So I'm very excited. I've got a lot of different things that I need to get done. This was a big one because I don't want these potatoes to go unused. And hash browns are perfect for a lot of things. They don't have to be just for breakfast food. And so they're just kind of a good, well-balanced way of using potatoes. So we're going to do that. And I've got a beautiful pumpkin that my husband and I got on a date night at this super cute place called Cross E Ranch. And so we are going to be utilizing that to make some pumpkin puree so that we can make some pumpkin pies, sorry. And I'm trying to think of what else. I have a lot of different things that are finally starting to come in from the garden. So I'm very, very excited about those things. I am finally going to be able to show you how we're going to be making some paprika and chili powder. So that'll be really, really nice. And I'm going to make some red pepper flakes from some of our hot peppers so that my husband can have some hot sauce. And yeah, we're excited. We're finally getting a good harvest coming in, slowly but surely. It feels like it just takes forever sometimes. And our weather has definitely been very unusual. We had a very, very hot June. And a lot of my tomatoes and peppers didn't really want to do much, which was quite obnoxious. But at the end of the day, they are booming. So I will definitely be doing a decent harvest out there here very, very soon, which I'm very excited about. I may have a small space and a small garden, but doesn't mean that I can't enjoy what little bit I do get. and take advantage of what I can get from the store too. So obviously I did not grow these potatoes myself. I would like to, but that's just not a stage where I am at yet, and that is okay. So we're just gonna enjoy where we're at in life, small space, and appreciate what we can do for our house and for our family, which in my case is just my husband and our 2 pups. But that's okay. They still need to be taken care of just the same. All right. I'm going to finish up these potatoes here, peeling them. I've got about 5 more, and then we will be back. Okay, friends, we're back. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to make some hash browns. So grab yourself a bowl, fill it up with some cold water, and let's get that filled up. And then I actually have 2 different size graters that I'm going to use. All right, I've got my lovely bowl of water here, and I can choose between a little bit of a thicker or a little bit of a thinner. I usually do the thicker one, but obviously you can use whatever size you want. I've got my cool little gadget here. This is a game changer with having the catcher on the bottom. I really, really like these. And I'm going to peel these. Now, potatoes have a lot of starch in them. So what you're going to want to do, and the purpose of the water, is to help with the starch. Okay. So once you've gotten a good bit of them peeled, you're going to put them in your water, and you're going to make sure that it goes clear. Now, the reason this is helpful is because usually when you have hash browns, they have all that starch left in them, and it makes it really, really hard to cook them in a timely manner. I don't know if any of you have noticed that whenever you make hash browns, they take forever. It's because the starch is left in them. So if you remove the starch by adding them into some water, just trying to be careful here because this thing, I mean, I've cut myself many times, so I got to be a little bit delicate. I'm a little clumsy, okay? Don't judge. And so with your hash browns, if you put them in the water, it will remove the starch content. Now, if you like your hash browns not to be as crunchy, I would recommend only putting them in the water for a short period of time. So usually I do about 2 to, well, no, more than that. I usually do like 3 to 4 washes. So here's our beautiful hash browns. And I'm going to put them in this water here. And what it's going to do is it's going to remove all that starch so that they cook a lot faster when I actually take them out of the freezer. So let me move my water a little bit more here. So see how cloudy that water is? The goal when we're done is to have that run clear. Now, if you like your hash browns to be a little bit softer and not quite as crunchy, I would only strain, I don't know, maybe 1 to 2 times and give them a good cleaning, because when you do it as thoroughly as I like to do it, my husband and I really like our hash browns to be nice and crispy. So the more you remove all the starch, the crunchier they're going to be in the final end. So I would highly recommend lessening that if you want them to be softer, because the starch makes it so that they don't cook as quickly. So you end up standing over the stove for 5 years trying to cook them. But at the end of the day, I not only want them to taste amazing, but I also want to be able to cook them in a timely manner. So, all right. We are going to finish peeling our potatoes here. I like the convenience of this, being able to kind of push it with the palm of my hand, but I'm also a little clumsy. So once it gets to that little bottom section, I don't even try. I have cut myself too many times or peeled nails because I have just tried to push it too close. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. And there's nothing safe with me in a grater, clearly. And obviously, the smaller the potato, the more likely I am to cut myself. These things are wonderful. They're also dangerous. All right. We have made quite the mess. I forget how messy it is to use a grater sometimes, especially when you're doing potatoes. Okay, now that we've got all of our potatoes grated up, we are going to do a couple of water baths, so to speak. We're just going to get all that starch out. All right. All right. Messy, messy. That's okay. We'll manage. Okay. So, obviously you could see how cloudy the water is from all that starch. So, we are going to just clean this out. So, same thing. We are going to strain it and then give it a couple of good washes, so to speak. So, we're going to get as much of that out as possible. Now, again, if you want them to be a little bit softer when you cook them, take them out of the freezer, then leave a little bit of that starch instead of doing multiple, water baths, so to speak. Don't let it completely run clear when you're cleaning this, but I like mine to run pretty much clear. That way they cook really, really quick and efficiently. Sorry about that. My recording decided to be silly. So we got 3 good rinses for our hash browns. They weren't quite running 100% clear, which is exactly how I wanted it, just a little bit, so it was running nice and clean. And then we'll want to make sure that we let these dry. So I've got my cookie sheet here. This is one of my more medium-sized ones. My big one is currently being washed. So I'm just going to make sure that these get nice and dry before we put them in the freezer. And these like to get really, really wet. Obviously, they were in a lot of water, so want to make sure that they stay nice and dry if possible. So we are just going to let these dry. I'm going to put a couple sections on here. And I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of phases where I just have my paper towels here to help soak up a lot of that moisture. And I'm actually going to do this a couple of times with them because obviously if they're soaking wet, it's not going to really do much. So I've got this. It's nice and wet already. So now that I've kind of gotten a good rinsing, so to speak, or a drying rather, I can kind of just do that. I've gotten some cheap paper towels and they are not quite as effective as my other ones used to be, which is okay. You can do this with a regular towel if you'd prefer. Whatever floats your boat to get them as dry as possible. I usually just do a couple of layers of paper towels. These ones are not as effective as I would like, but they'll get the job done eventually. Usually, I can give them a good pat down and they'll do all right too. So just make sure that they're a decent amount dry and we'll be all set. So however it is that you want to give them a good pat down, you do it. All right, I'm just kind of going through them, giving them a good wipe down. They're actually feeling really, really good. They're not 100% dry, but that's okay. Potatoes actually, when you wipe them down like that, actually end up coming out pretty quickly. Obviously, you're not going to get them completely dried out. That's not the intentions. Just to make sure that they are going to stay nice and not going to freeze in the freezer the way you don't want them to. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one, although there wasn't nearly as many. And then I'm going to pop these in the freezer, just like this. And then we will be back. All right. I feel really good about those. All right. These will get thrown in the freezer, and then we will get them packed and ready to go. Okay, friends. So we got our homemade hash browns now out of the freezer. I just gave them enough time to where they will go into the bags easier. So you are welcome to add oil to these if you would like before you put them on the tray. You can do it afterwards. I'm okay with just doing it right before I put them in the pan. So it's total personal preference on that. I've done it both ways, and I don't necessarily have a particular way I prefer it. So the goal is basically just to make sure that they aren't completely stuck together, and that's about it. It's pretty simple. So I can get these packaged up. Normally I'd use my food saver bags, but I need to get some more. So I'm just going to put them in some sandwich bags to use. And I believe it's half of a cup is a serving. So if you care about that kind of thing, you can obviously package them according to that. I'm just kind of gauging it off of what I like to see. And then we are good to go. So pretty simple there. And it's very helpful because if you do it like this beforehand, they won't be all stuck together if you don't pre-freeze them or par-freeze them, whatever you want to call it. It makes it so that they are not going to be as stuck together when you go to get them out later, which is quite nice. So it really is this simple. I'm just going to get these packaged up, and then we can put these in the freezer. And these will be easily accessible, we'll grab those out and call it good. So I hope you found this video nice and helpful. I enjoy getting to do these kinds of things. It's really simple. As you've probably heard me at this point, if you've seen any of my other videos, most things are more complicated, as a lot more simple than we actually think. We tend to overcomplicate things. So here's an easy way to make your own hash browns, and you know exactly what's in it.